What is TJ Holmes doing that he can get away with? Another young lady has since come forward and accused Holmes, who was at the time her superior at ABC News, of using her sexually and dismissing her. This seems to be a pattern for Holmes, who is nonetheless receiving a soft focus approach from the mainstream news media, and the #MeToo industrial complex, which often pounces on workplace sexual offenders, since his relationship with co-host Amy Robach was made public in the Mail Online last October. A steady stream of women have come forward to accuse him of abusing them. Where there is one misuse of authority, there is typically another, and then another, and then another. How many other young ladies was Holmes abusing sexually at work? More than we know, in my opinion. What is TJ Holmes doing that he can get away with? Another young lady has since come forward and accused Holmes, who was at the time her superior at ABC News, of using her sexually and dismissing her. This seems to be a pattern for Holmes, who is nonetheless receiving a soft focus approach from the mainstream news media, and the #MeToo industrial complex, which often pounces on workplace sexual offenders, since his relationship with co-host Amy Robach was made public in the Mail Online last October. A steady stream of women have come forward to accuse him of abusing them. Where there is one misuse of authority, there is typically another, and then another, and then another. How many other young ladies was Holmes abusing sexually at work? More than we know, in my opinion. Jasmine Pettaway, a different female staff member, was employed by ABC News when she was 24 years old, or 13 years younger than Holmes, as the Mail Online exclusively revealed last month. She had anticipated Holmes serving as a mentor. Instead, they engaged in sexual activity in his office, until Holmes grew bored and dropped her. When Pettaway was alive, a reliable source who wishes to remain nameless reported that Holmes was a predator who took full use of his position. This most recent victim, known only as Sasha, claims that in 2014, while working the nighttime shift at the age of 27, Holmes started acting inappropriately toward her. Even though he was already married, it was difficult to resist him because of his enormous appeal and developing star status. Sasha claimed that it seemed like Holmes was the only person in the building that took me seriously. He flirted with her over email and showed a crazy amount of interest in her. Holmes wrote, "I'm learning a lot about you. I think I might like you." Heady stuff for a junior staff member whose 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. schedule provided little time for dating or any sort of social life yet left her fatigued. Sasha benefited from his attention and devotion because her career required grit while his involved glamour. Their sexual relationship started in a hotel on the Upper West Side and deteriorated from there, with hookups mostly occurring in his office. Consider this, a network star who regularly has young female employees enter his office, door shut and locked, then she emerged flushed and messy. According to a source who spoke with the New York Post, a junior staffer was seen leaving Holmes' office in 2015, looking like a deer in the headlights. Sasha claimed that she was astounded to read that report and realized that the young woman was actually her, that she had been noted and perceived as somewhat of a victim by a co-worker. In my opinion, Holmes was sending a very obvious message: this newsroom is mine, and I'll take whomever I want, whenever I want, with the least amount of effort to conceal it. It is absurd to think that Holmes' superiors were in the dark about his activities. Years went by with this. In addition, other sources told the Mail Online that his persistent approaches on an intern left her feeling stressed and freaked out. And no one has less authority or is lower in the food chain than an intern. How did Holmes get away with dating for so long? Have network news executives taken nothing from Matt Lauer's termination in 2017 following allegations of sexual misbehavior and abuse, including rape? To be sure, Holmes is not charged with anything so heinous, but there is no denying that predatory behavior by a superior at work is hurtful and leaves scars. They have an impact on professional paths. How many young women choose to leave rather than deal with this, or risk exclusion, or, under such excessive, unsaid, and tolerated by the brass stress, are unable to perform at their best? Pettaway, who is now a celebrated casting director and the creator of a lifestyle company, left ABC after just 2 years to go back to Cleveland, where she had previously worked for a regional affiliate. She said that the toxic work atmosphere at ABC News in New York seriously affected my self-esteem. According to this article, women at ABC News were concerned that the best, and frequently the only, way to advance was by having affairs with their male superiors. How utterly dismal and discouraging. TJ Holmes, with his infuriating smirk and swagger, is the face of ABC's problem, whether they like it or not. I'm convinced it was the proper decision to remove him from the air. However, he spends all of his newfound spare time shopping at David Yulman for jewelry, including a promise ring. What the heck? Why hasn't Holmes been fired outright instead of ABC kindly suggesting he was moving on and flaunting this most recent affair in front of paparazzi, former spouses and hurt children be damned? Why hasn't ABC News strongly condemned his actions, distanced themselves from him, and vowed that going forward, anyone in his position who mistreats female subordinates will be fired with no severance or monetary settlement? There is a woman in charge of ABC News. She is missing. Why isn't Holmes' actions provoking the same kind of indignation as other workplace sex scandals did? Presently, Long Island resident Bill O'Reilly broadcasts from his basement. Lauer and Charlie Rose both reside in a permanent media exile. Chris Cuomo was eventually dismissed from CNN for abusing his position to potentially slander his brother's accusers, after being exposed as sexually assaulting his female boss in a New York Times op-ed. For what it's worth, he is currently back on the air at News Nation. I'll never be what I was, as Cuomo recently lamented in a New York Times podcast. On the most influential media platform in the world, I was ranked first. These guys are constantly in a state of shock when they learn that the elite media axis continues to revolve despite their being thrown out of it and floating into space like so much flotsam. At ABC News, fostering a work atmosphere where everyone feels secure, respected, and professional has always been a key focus. That's also difficult to believe. It's unfathomable that higher-ups were